Good day. Good day. And I hope you want to make it a great day, but because you turned into this podcast, I think you're going to make it a great day. Welcome to Brothers Crossing. This is episode number one. This program, Brothers Crossing, is where you get your old school wisdom with a little new world vibe. I'm here with, I'm Roro. I'm here with my brother, Bros, Nando, and Cub. How y'all doing today?
Doing good. Doing
Doing
good.
good.
We're popping our cherry. Can we say that?
Yeah, I think you can say that. You We're good. We're good.
Yeah, yeah,
We're good. Real good. I mean, so we up here trying to get this thing done. So lot of stuff happening in the world today. Tell me some good or bad tidings, some news that has been on your mind for the last day, two, three. Nando, we start with you. What's been on your mind on the news cycle?
I have a lot of stuff on news. One is it's not like I turn the TV on news because I'm tired of hearing all the doom and gloom. But the one thing was about a couple um, at a Cincinnati Jazz Festival who ended up getting beat up by the mob. I don't know more information. I don't know who started it. But what looks sad about it is nobody jumped in watching this individual clearly getting plummeted by five or six people, guys, girls. And don't get me wrong, if they said something out of pocket, that's fine. But it comes to a point with a mob mentality, you just don't want to kill somebody. You want to make your point, beat them up, call it a day, but nobody jumped in to try to help. So you're looking at this thing which looked like it was 10 minutes, but it was only like 2 minutes. But it looked like it was 10 minutes because it was just clearly pummeling. And then when he finally
Getting the
got
shit
up,
kicked out of them.
yeah, he kept falling down because I think he got a concussion because they was kicking him, they was beating him, and my thing is, it's a jazz festival. We're supposed to be having
Right.
wine. We're supposed to be having cheese. We're supposed to be having crackers, not getting a mob mentality of just beating somebody up. So I would probably need to get more information about it to figure out who was in
But
the wrong.
could you tell if it was like a multicultural, it was more one culture than another, or
Well,
kind of a
the couple was white. The white dude was getting beat up, and I think the white girl got punched in the face, clearly cocked, fell on the ground. I think they were younger African American group. So when you're dealing with Cincinnati, who has a history of history, you
okay.
don't know what was said. So all I'm saying with that fight is you just don't want to kill somebody over something stupid because if those young kids killed that man, their life is over. 40, 50, 60 years over that man saying something out of pocket. I just don't agree with that point. But
I mean,
yeah.
I agree with you.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
right.
know what I
But
mean?
I think, go ahead.
No, I'm
All I
just
said,
saying. No, I'm just saying. It's
like for
usually
me, it's
stupid
like,
shit.
music is one thing, one nation under a groove, baby. You can't, you gotta move. And if you're doing a jazz festival, we're just here to listen to music. We ain't trying to solve the world problem in one night, one nation. All right, Cub, what's been on your mind? Good or bad tidings?
Well, I mean, over the last week, we lost a big one in our rock industry. Lost Ozzy.
Yeah.
That was a big one for me. That was just had his last concert on the 5th of July, and just then
He actually performed
later
on that?
he did. He's in a big throne chair, and there were other acts that performed a lot of Black Sabbath music, and got to play with some of his old bandmates, and then he's dead. So that was a big one. But today, before we went on, big shooting in New York, guy walking into the Black Rock building where the NFL and other big name companies are located, walked in with a long gun. It looked like it had a suppressor on it from the photos they showed. An off-duty police officer working, getting some extra bucks working security in uniform, shot and killed, and others have been confirmed killed now as they're clearing the building. So,
That's crazy.
one thing that's unique with our country are mass shootings.
But it's weird.
Unfortunately.
I did catch a glimpse of that, and the guy is walking literally in the middle of a plaza with the biggest gun you ever wanted to see, right? Those long rifles are big,
I mean, and
and
this one's
nobody said
camo
nothing.
color. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not black. It's camo, it's
yeah,
like desert warfare looking rifle. So,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are a couple things, for me today, with that situation. But, with Ozzy's passing from, we all have these people from our youth that we grew up with. And as we're all getting older, we're losing them left and right. So
Yeah.
just
So
proves one thing, we're getting older.
let's not, I know Ozzy was a big one in your life. I think let's not lose sight of Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo
Yeah.
up in the
Yep.
building.
Yep.
For me, Chuck Mangione, and we'll mention Hulk Hogan. He is who he is, but he was a part of our he's growing up, right?
But you know how
So
they always say it's in threes, but is it really in threes?
nah, I think
People are
yeah,
people are dying
it's
every
right
day.
on how you frame
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah, how you frame it. For me, I think the one thing that caught me today, and I was going to go down one road because I'm all about the famine that's occurring around the world and how we're doing these airdrops and blah blah blah. Don't understand it. I went to Costco this weekend. I'm like, we have so much crap in Costco. I'm sorry, Costco. I'm not crap, but it's things we have an overabundance of stuff, and then you're gonna drop stuff like flour to other countries. Like we have an overabundance of stuff. So I'm not gonna focus on that today, but I do want to highlight Deion Sanders.
Mm.
He had his bladder removed because he had cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. I just saw
And
that today.
yeah, and I'm just telling everybody, and everybody that knows me, I had a cousin that passed away from cancer. You have to get yourself checked out, especially as you get older in our age groups, 50s plus or whatever. Just go get yourself checked out. You insure your car, but the most important thing in the building is yourself. So go get yourself checked out. So that's all I got to say.
Hey, I
So
just
we're gonna
received
move
a
on
text
to
from
our
Costco.
the title
Hey, I
to
just received a
our
text from Costco, Rodney. I received a text from Costco, and they say because of the words you just said, they are pulling out their money for advertising on our show. So thank you very much.
no, they're not. Costco, they need to come at me.
So I just wanted to make sure that the format of this show is that we're trying to attract perspective advertisers, not shun. Do I have that right?
Costco, you got me. I know you got my back. You know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, part of what you were talking about with the food excess, with the starvation that's going on in Gaza, I learned today that news, not Netanyahu's saying there's not starvation going on there, but the rest of the world knows about it, and you don't hear about it in Israel. It's like that news is being suppressed.
Yes.
And it's funny. I just watched the anniversary of Live Aid, and Bob Geldof, who, the organizer of it all, talks about, we're a world with excess food, and that how could it be that there are places on the planet that have starvation issues? How much shit do we all throw away?
Yeah. And I
I
think that's
certainly
a
hear about it.
topic. I actually think is a topic for an entire podcast. I
Yeah.
do feel that. I just see it. I think we throw stuff away all the time. The title of our episode today is The Tip That Made You Trip. Now what that means. We had pre-production conversations. So the tip that made you trip. Basically, we're talking about a conversation, an event, that something you saw that kind of moved you, like moved the way you walk through life a little bit. Not entirely, but like certain aspects of your life. And I think where I want to go because we're gonna give them old school wisdom and we're gonna move it on to the how we're gonna move it on to the new world. So we're gonna start this episode. We're gonna start it with Nando. I'm gonna see that one event, that thing, that tip that you got, that thing you found out about life that kind of moved you to your next phase and how you move through life. You got what?
Well, it was probably what? It was maybe, I forgot when I saw this thing, whether it was 3, 4 years ago or something like that, where out of all of the people to say it, this shocked me. It was Floyd Mayweather. You're talking about who's got all this money, who flashes jewelry, flashes cars,
Cash.
flashes cash all over the place. All he does is flash. But when he said this statement, it resonated to make me change and go a different direction, as in getting a little hustle on. And what he said is, he goes, realistically, let's look at this. There's 24 hours in a day. 8 hours, you're probably working. Another 8 hours, you're probably sleeping. That's 16. Then you have an hour for breakfast, hour for lunch, hour for dinner. That's 19 hours. And then for you to get ready for work, that's another hour. So that's 20 hours out of the 24. He goes, for me, that 4 hours that are left every single day, I focused on me getting myself better. I didn't waste it watching TV. I didn't waste it going out, drinking, doing whatever. He goes, if you want to better yourself as a person, you have to start to invest in yourself. So he's like, you got 4 hours a day extra. And my thing is, I started thinking, if I could just spend 1 hour each day on doing something productive in 6 months to a year, I was going to start to see positivity out of that, which I have. Dealing with my children's
You
books,
said
dealing with
1 hour a month?
what was that?
You said 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month?
1 hour a day.
Day, okay.
1 hour
Day.
a day. He was talking 24 hours in a day. You have 4 extra hours a day that most people don't take advantage of, except for me. I decided to take advantage of it by doing 1 hour a day of working on a project, and it's starting to come to fruition and everything else. But when he said that, I started to change how I looked at things and how I looked at time.
Okay. No, I feel that.
What
I
if you
feel
work
that,
12-hour
and I
days?
think that's good advice for like balancing your time. Everybody think they don't have time to do certain things and accomplish certain things, but I do. I feel that.
What if you work 12-hour days?
If you're working 12 hours, that means you're not eating lunch or you're not eating dinner. So you still got that extra hour to work on something. And you're not sleeping for 8 hours, but that's good, cool.
But the formula is that you got time in your day, right?
Yeah.
You can
You make
carve
time.
out
You make
time in your
time.
day, but we choose not to. So, yeah. No, I'm here. I hear that, and that moved you forward, and that's how you kind of been progressing, like kind of right now, or
Yeah,
how you
it
progress your
happened to
life.
be, it happened, yeah, because I think it happened around the same time when I had to bring my mother out here because she had dementia. And then all of a
Okay.
sudden, at the same time, I lost my job because they closed down the facility. So I'm sitting here looking like, I got 8 hours. What am I going to do with it to try to do something positive? So I just started working on a lot of different projects and moved them along. They're coming to fruition. I mean, the two children's books that I wrote on dementia this Friday happen to be going to an event where they're giving out rewards and acknowledging you for the awards you get. So I'll be able to do that on Friday. But if I would have never started writing a couple years ago, I would have never been in this position. So that's what I mean by that extra hour I
Yes.
took to
Yes.
invest in myself, and starts to come to a little fruition.
All right.
Shouldn't there
I'm
be
coming to you.
advertising on that?
What's that?
Shouldn't there be
Nothing. That's
advertising on
water,
that?
baby. That's
Okay.
I thought you were about to take a commercial break right now and tell us who you can drink.
all right, Cub. We come to you, and you're telling me you was a little perplexed about this topic, but I think you got something for me. I think you got
Well,
something for me.
I can't, there's not like one thing that has ever stood out in my mind. There might be a collection of things if I really kind of dug deep, but I could tell you, our parents weren't insightful, on how we need to live our lives. It was just go out and get a job and survive.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I can tell you early, in my early career days when I was in San Diego, I can tell you at some point, and I can't tell you what the trigger was, but at some point, I was in my early 20s. At some point, it was okay, you kind of need to get serious about what you're going to do for a living.
Hmm.
And I just kind of fell into travel industry stuff, but it was never a plan. It's never worked out, but I needed to survive. It was just myself. So that's what I've been doing the last 38 years is in travel. And it's worked out well. It was never a game plan. Didn't go to school for it, but it just kind of worked out. But you talk to a lot of people along the road. You get engaged in conversations with customers when you have time. And what I like to do is people that are successful, that are very successful. And you do come across them in your lifetime.
You're very successful.
In my own mind. But I like to listen to people that have become, extremely wealthy or are big owners of large companies. How did you get your start? Everybody started somewhere, right? And just to listen to those stories, and those things you keep in the back of your head. And if you can apply something that they said to you in those conversations, trying to apply it to your own life. But for me, it's not any one thing. And I think that probably applies to a lot of people that, grew up in the late 70s and the early 80s, that you just kind of figured it out. If you knew what you wanted to do when you were in junior high school and you geared your school and everything towards it, that was your life's ambition. But there's probably more people like me than there are people of what I mentioned in our lifetime.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with that. I don't, again, it goes back to like being the best in your lane. I think, like you said, no one really has a plan. Like, there's few people. I'm not saying no one. There's few people who have a plan. Like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to be,
They're very focused, and they
yeah,
were very
very
focused
focused on what they're.
at a very young age. They knew what they
Yes.
wanted to do. I mean, I told my kids, I don't really care what you end up doing. If you're the garbage man, just make sure that you're the best garbage man. You're the most
Yeah.
badass garbage man there is. And
Yeah.
and I think they're both successful in their own right and doing well. And they
Yeah.
probably tend to go overboard to feel their success and to make sure they're recognized and those kind of things.
Now, I think, Nana, that's a quote like I think Dr. King had say, "Be the best street sweeper."
Yeah,
I think
whatever you
it was
are,
something along that
just
lines,
be the
right?
best at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But everybody, yeah, I agree. Everybody's different with their advice. I think when I read the Magic Johnson book, he had said something that he was hanging out with his dad, and his dad was a garbage collector. And if anybody knows, they live in Michigan, and the winters are hellified there. So all of a sudden, one day, he said that his dad told him to go pick up some garbage, and he came back, and the dad goes, "Hey, did you pick up some garbage?" He goes, "Yeah, I picked up everything, but there was one piece of garbage I couldn't pick up." And he goes, "Why is that?" He goes, "It was in the ice." He goes, "Okay." Threw the garbage in, walked around the truck, got his ice pick, came out, ice picked and picked up garbage. He goes, "When you work for somebody and you get a job, you make sure you do it 100% and you
Mm.
never let something like this slide." And Magic kept that in his head, similar to what you told your son. Whatever you guys do, make sure you guys are the best at it, and don't.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean we're all old enough to remember when the garbage was picked up by two guys hanging off on the back of a garbage truck and picking up metal cans, right? We're all old enough to remember those days. It's not like that now. But I can remember I lost my train of thought there, but I can remember when those days, going back that far, there wasn't a whole lot of conversation about careers and, what you're going to do with your life. And,
No.
um,
Well,
again,
you had
we just
career
figured it out.
counseling back in the
How we
day.
figured it out, I
Yeah.
look back at our age now and look back into the really when we got started, in the early 80s and how we did anything. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. No doubt.
No cell
No doubt.
phones, no internet, phone book.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think
You
the other
adapt.
thing that we had when we were growing up versus these kids now, and I related to like when we grew up, we had seven categories. We had rock music, we had country music, we had pop music, we had hip hop, we had R&B, that we could use our imagination with each one. When our parents would say, "Go out of the house and come back when the street lights come on," you and your friends are outside. What are we doing? We're using our imagination, playing different games. Hey, let's play tag, but you got to go through every other car. You can't go through
Yes.
this
Yeah,
car or
yeah, that's
something like
right.
that.
That's right. That's
And
right.
then the last thing I'll state on it is in our school, yes, we might not know what we want, but they gave us options because guess what? We had music. People could sit there and go into the music class. People can go into
Yeah, we
shop
did.
class. So they gave you opportunities to stretch your mind to figure out what you want to do versus these kids now. They have tunnel vision. They have to focus on one thing. They have to be in that class. They have to be at top. So it's like, no. I wish kids had it the way we had it, where we had
Yeah. And
options out.
I think what we'll learn over many episodes is that I think they have it. It just looks different. It looks different to us. It's not like how it looks. So I think we'll figure it out. I think the one thing for me, the advice that I got, I think it was in 1994.
We have a date.
Yeah,
Let's
it
have
was
a
that
date.
era.
A year.
I am, yeah, I
Do we have
guess
a
it was
month?
pretty. No, we have 1994, and I was going through something. So personally, I was getting divorced. Right, I was getting divorced. A young man, married early, getting divorced. So kind of got around that I was going through something. So I got a call. I got a call. Guy named Ellis. Ellis, I knew Ellis, and he was just getting out of prison, right? And so I said, hey, he's like, hey, Roro, there's only two choices in life. You either get busy living or you get busy dying. That was Ellis Red Redding from Shawshank Redemption. What's that? Ellis Red Redding gave me that advice. And it's true because you can sit down, you can wallow in all the things that happen to you, whatever. Are you going to be stuck there? Or are you going to get busy living what's out there for you? And I did that, and I got to do a lot of great things, and career wise and travel wise. And then sort of that approach kind of led me through a lot of things. Like I said, going back, I was traveling a lot, and I like to go to stadiums. So I went to stadiums, and so on one of my stadium visits was going to the University of Nebraska. And if anybody's been to the outside Lincoln, Nebraska, the stadium out there, as destiny is not by chance, but by choice. And I tie that back to what Red was telling me back on the phone that you get to choose if you want to be happy or you don't want to be happy. You want to be wallowing in whatever and leave everything to chance. It's going to get better. You get to choose that your happiness. And I think that's where I kind of took that. And I think that was like William Jennings Bryan that on outside of that stadium. But that's the advice that I take today. I even had and it came around like probably about 4 years ago. I was in a gym working out, and an elderly man. He was about 84. And he's like, son, everybody's trying to do that retirement. When I retire, I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna do that. He's like, don't wait, do it now. So don't be like waiting to be life to happen to you, and you're going when you just no, you go live your life. You make your choices, and that's to me is the advice that kind of moved me through my life.
Yeah, it's good advice. No one ever told that to me, a long time ago.
You should have seen Shawshank Redemption.
I've seen it. I think what I remember was, institutionalized and making out.
Always thinking the glass is half empty. Way to go.
Yeah.
I don't think I can make it on the outside, Andy.
Yeah, like and I think I can make it out there. That's hilarious. So to kind of bring this whole things that we've learned, and we're going to now tell how we're going to transition what we learned as older gentlemen. We're not old, but old school flavor. How we're going to move this? How we're going to move the wisdom that we have forward? So we know that's clearly growing up in our era is different than growing up, let's say in 2025. So this is a very intricate question. What would you tell, let's say, your teenage or less self how to live today? based on the knowledge that you know now?
Tell myself.
Yeah, how would you tell
What advice would
yourself?
I give to myself,
Would you like you know
knowing what
what
I
your
know now?
circumstances when you were growing up, but now you throw in the factors that are in 2025. What would you tell yourself to do? And I can start so you give you guys some gentlemen brothers some time to.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would say to myself, not being afraid of everything because fear makes you tolerate things that you don't want to do. So you're fearful that you're not going to be popular. You're fearful that someone's going to say something on whatever social media platform that's now. Say the thing, don't be so afraid because you know, and I know 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years down the road, it don't mean a hill of beans. So we have to stop being fearful because it leads you to bad decisions, start to lead you to like earlier Nando was saying, oh, mob mentality leads you to mob mentality. Just be fearful and like I was trying to say, just live your life. Make your choice. Your decisions are not by chance, it's by choice. So make your decisions, stop being fearful of everything and move forward. That's what I would tell my crazy 16-year-old self that was scared of everything, wanted to be Mr. Perfect.
Huh.
You think that's left you? I'm sorry.
There's a couple things that come to mind for me right away. Number one, don't get married a month before your 18th birthday.
Oh my God.
I'm writing this down, so if somebody invents a time machine, I have to write this down to go back and not.
Right, right.
Tell you while you're writing that down, hot tub time machine. Don't forget Google, invest in Microsoft, Google, Amazon. Just sit back, create wealth.
Yeah, so don't get married at. My father had to sign for me.
Get out of here.
I swear, a month before my 18th birthday.
Wow.
Wow, that is something.
So that's up. Don't do that.
So let me ask you this question. We're not getting personal,
Yep.
but what made you want to get married so young?
Oh man, I mean, my family was a disaster at that time. My parents had split up. You know, I don't. Looking back on it, I don't know if I was looking for a family. My girlfriend at the time before we got married. They were my family at that moment with everything that was going on. And, we were together just like, when you're 16, 17, you're in love and, they're it, right?
Yeah,
That's that's
we all been there.
that's what your world is filled with.
Yeah, yeah.
And we talked about it uh and I can distinctly remember when she had the conversation with her dad, with her parents. They went into their bedroom. I was sitting in her room, and I could hear the conversation.
You was sweating bullets. I know you're sweating bullets.
Dude, I'm 17 years old. I'm a kid, and I remember her telling him what we wanted to do, and I could hear him as clear as day, kind of like what, but his words were, "You actually respect that boy." And that was what I heard that stood out. And then there was, other conversation in there that I didn't hear. But at the end of it, it was like, well, this is what we're going to do, whether you like it or not. We got married. I told my dad and told him what our plans were, but I needed him to sign for me that it was okay. So we went down to the courthouse, get our marriage license, and he had to sign off on us getting our marriage license. So don't do that.
Don't get married.
Don't get
Well,
married
no,
that
I
young.
mean, yeah, I think I'm trying to like drill down a little bit just to say, hey, you had trouble. You were saying family life or whatever, and so were you trying to fill in for something? You avoid that you were saying something they're trying to do. You know what I mean? I'm not
I
trying
mean,
to psychoanalyze, but I'm just like trying to
no,
get
I
a
get it. You got to remember, I'm 17.
yeah.
There's not a lot of thought that's going through your head at that age. At least it wasn't for me. Um, about what life's rules were. We were just talking about surviving and wanting to be together and start our life together. You know,
So you're trying to be temporary happy, thinking that it was going to be
Well,
a
but
lifetime of
but you're not
happiness.
thinking in those terms of, this is my temporary happiness. At the time it was my world, that was it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Now you lived a little bit. You're trying to tell your younger self,
Don't do that. God, don't do that.
hey, don't.
And and don't do it again to the same person 10 years later. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do it
That's deep.
twice.
I
Yeah.
think we might have to call somebody.
You might have stumbled. We stumbled on something here, folks.
We might have stumbled on
Yeah.
something
Hey, we
on
can maybe
Brothers
call
Crossing.
But
Dr.
I would
Phil.
say, also I would, you know, pay attention in school.
Mhm.
Not a great student. Pay attention in school and be frugal early. Save your money.
Good advice.
That's what I would tell myself.
Good advice. That's
If
good
I was
advice.
17.
I
But
think everybody needs that advice. All right, Nando, what you got?
Yeah, I think looking at it would probably be let the hard things or times you go through teach you, not define you. Because
Mm,
when
mm.
younger and everything else, and you make a mistake or I made a mistake, and people kept bringing it up, I thought that defined me and started to go into a little shell, not understanding everything that we go through. It's supposed to teach us something, teach us about ourselves, teach us for us to go in another direction, for us to change what we're living, how we're living. But when you're younger, you're not worried. You're just worried about what does the next person think? What do the next man thinks? What the next woman thinks? Not
Yes.
it's supposed to
yeah, you're just
it's
living
supposed
for
to
that
teach you
day.
something. Yeah,
You're not looking even a week ahead. You're looking at living for that day.
correct. Yes, sir. So
So
that
you're
was
saying that as a younger person, they let that define you, but at some point you broke out of it, right? So
no,
right.
definitely broke out of it. But when we're looking at our younger self and all of the opportunities our younger selves had, at the world was our oyster. We were able to travel, we were able to do things, we were able to play sports, we were able to do stuff. What more could we have done if we wouldn't have held ourselves back? So if I wouldn't have held myself back, how much more opportunity or how much more could I have been out there different? I couldn't change it for the world because I wouldn't be the person who I am today if I didn't go through that.
Yes.
So I wouldn't change it. It's just what more opportunities would I have had
Well, I mean,
if
I
I
don't think
didn't?
all of us would be who we are today if we didn't go through with what we went through.
Yes.
And that shapes all of us throughout our entire lifetime. I can't imagine my life what it would be now if I didn't get married at 17.
You would probably be in New York somewhere, having a cooking show or something like that.
I probably would have been in the military.
Okay.
Boy, boy.
Yeah, but that's for another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Hey,
all sound advice. I think at the end of the day, we know that and I think that's a good way to wrap this up. This is like we all been through something, and now we have this wisdom where we help other people tell their kids or the kids that may listen to us. Our generation is not different than your generation. We have the same things that happen, looks in a different shell.
You
What
just
we
have
can do,
technology today, is all.
yeah, technology. But that was the thing. It's like I don't know who I was talking to, but it's like one of the things that we're like, oh, they're gonna post something and on social media it's gonna hurt me. I'm like, I don't get that. Our generation was like, did he punch you in the face?
Right. Yeah.
Did something happen to you that you
You
got
dealt with it
physically
face to
hurt?
face. Yeah. You dealt with it
Now
face.
they're like, no, I'm not. I'm hurt because so and so posted something about. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't
There's no
get it.
fact checkers back then.
it's sensitive. Yeah, it's sensitive.
You fact checked it yourself face to face.
Exactly. That is
Oh, you got
exactly
a black
right.
eye. Yeah, I know what happened to you. Yeah, I know what happened to you.
But no, I think this is a good opening episode. I think it tells you some stories we got for you. I hope you listen. Tune in. Costco, don't let Nando this week.
Let me look at my phone. Are you still going to advertise on our show? Yeah, I won't tell you what they just.
But yeah, tune in for another episode. We're gonna put these out, and it's enjoyable conversation with you brothers. We're crossing generation, crossing lines. Brothers crossing. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
All right. Later, guys.
Later.